Hello and welcome to Bolt Action Reloading. If you would like to know what velocities that we were able to achieve with this 147 grain ELD match by Hornady, loaded with Alliance Reloder 23, stick around. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here and you'd like to see how I and the rest community here make our group smaller, start now by subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell icon. That way you get notified when I post new videos and you won't miss anything. This week's video, we're going to be discussing the 147 grain ELD match in Alliant Reloder 23. Now, Reloder 23 isn't exactly a powder we can find load data off the shelf on, or at least I haven't been able to for this weight range of bullet. A couple videos ago, we did talk about Alliant Reloder 23 with some 140 grain projectiles, but for this 147, we really haven't been able to find anything just yet. So looking at some other data and interpolating that, I tried to come up with my own load test for today. Again, I will preface that this is not published load data, so you'll have to use your own caution. Please be smart, work up your loads safely. For today's test, we're basically just trying to find a safe place to start and to see what velocity we could actually achieve with Alliance Reloder 23. Hopefully not to get too far off track. If you've been hanging around for a while, you'll know that we've tested this 147 grain ELD-M by Hornady quite a few times on the channel. Most of the time with some pretty reasonable results, largely depending on what you consider to be reasonable. As of late, we've been using a lot of the 150 grain Sierra Match King Sierra data that they posted to compare it to this 147 and give us an idea exactly how far we can push this. And we've actually seen some pretty reasonable velocities. I believe our actual max velocity we've achieved above all of our loads is actually with Reloder 16, actually hitting 2780 feet per second. And today we're just going to add to the list. Before we get too far in the load details, let's talk about our test platform. Our test platform, as usual, is the Generation 1 Ruger Precision Rifle, chambered in 6.5 Creedmoor. Still the stock barrel, guys, just with the added muzzle brake that came with the Generation 2s. If you'd like to know any further data, please check the description box below, and I will try and include it there. So for today's load test, we're using the 147 grain ELD match by Hornady, part number 26333. The brass we're using is actual Hornady stock brass that we're actually recycling from some factory ammunition that we've shot previously. But keep in mind, really for this test, we're just trying to make sure we can figure out what a safe range to load is. We're really not looking for accuracy and consistency. Had we really been trying for that today, we would have made sure we had an identical lot of brass and not have any chance of having any mixed flavors of stock brass in there. The brass is trimmed back to 1.910 inches. The primers we're using for today's video is the CCI-250 Large Rifle Magnum Primer. Obviously, Alliant Reloder 23 is the powder we're using today. We're starting at 43.5 grains and loading all the way up to 45.8 grains. The cartridge overall length we'll be using is 2.850 inches. We'll try and make this short and sweet. I'll just put the graph up on the screen. You'll see at 43.5 grains, we started all the way at 2655 feet per second. And by the time we get up to 45.8 grains, we were all the way up to 2759 feet per second. I'll put a quick shot of the actual group on the screen. You'll see from top to bottom, our target was 1.698 MOA. You guys can take that with a grain of salt if you like. Really in today's video, we were really trying to see what velocity we could actually hit safely without seeing any pressure signs on our brass. And speaking of brass, we'll put that on the screen. And you guys will see, actually, I really don't see any pressure signs to be concerned with at all. So guys, overall, I'm pretty happy. We certainly really didn't do any load development today, but you'll actually wonder, what can we really do with this data? Depending on your location, obviously some of this information will vary. Just using the standard settings that are in Hornady's calculator, 2750 is a very reasonable velocity to run these projectiles at. Depending on what platform you're running, elevation you would be dialing at 500 yards would be about 9.34 MOA. At 1,000 yards, you're at 28.43 MOA. And for fun, guys, just in case you're interested, at 1,000 yards, we're still running roughly about 1,600 feet per second and should still be able to get some more distance with it. So 2750 really isn't a bad place to run these rounds. Going back to our graph, you'll see our actual velocity from 45.2 to 45.8 grains, so 0.6 of a grains across there, we averaged just over 2750 feet per second. Our actual extreme spread came from between the 45.8 and 45.6 grain loads, and personally, guys, in this case, I'm blaming the brass for that. Certainly, Hornady brass has not been our most consistent. This lot certainly was not neck turned or any other match prep of that case. Having such a nice flat spot in the graph, I'm very interested to see with some match prep how that load can actually perform. Don't be too surprised if somewhere in the not too distant future, we'll be testing it. So even if you don't approve of using Alliance Reloder 23 and 6.5 Creedmoor, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any comments or questions on the video, please put those in the comments section below. If you're not subscribed to the channel and you like the content, please consider subscribing to the channel, hitting that like button, And until next week, stay safe in small groups.